I can't thank you enough for letting me take your time. I have so many golden nuggets that I have to go and rewrite. And I think you're going to make my book one more time. I love it. I look forward. Could you tell me your video classes you have? How does somebody get a hold of you if they need you? I can meet you every Thursday night, but how about someone who doesn't?
Yeah, I'm CoachDeb everywhere. So TikTok, Reels, Shorts, Instagram, Facebook. So at CoachDeb, all one word. And then socialvideo.club is the latest one where people can get me and all the advice without having to pay my high consulting fees.
and I am in that class, so I can verify that is unbelievable. Very small classes, because we go when we need to. We go when we have something to say. We go when we have something we want to pull from you. And it's almost like one-on-one. It's not one-on-one. There's a bunch of us there, but you feel like it's one-on-one because you're right there with us. It's like you knew everything that I was going to say and do before I did it today, because you probably taught it to me at some point in time. And I'm like, this is really cool. And I know that my next class, you'll critique me on it. I'm like, yes. So I'm like, I'm going to get more from you than anyone else. But I mean, it's just having a mentor and resourcing up. Like you said, you went from a couple of dollars to this to 15,000, 16. Resourcing up has been incredible. Absolutely, absolutely worth every very second of it. So, and I thank God that I met you and your two hero buddies. You're all great, and I can't wait to do this again. We will have another one. I know we will, because this is my first one. It's actually my second one ever, but my first one in the last year and a half. I did one before that, and I've learned a lot from you. Interviewing you, I've learned from you. I just love this. You were just a teacher all the time. So it's not like I have a podcast or a YouTube channel, so I don't have to say bye to anybody except for you.
Well, and Joanne, I have to say, like, if this is your first or whatever second, bravo. Like, unbelievable. One of the things I've said for years is your first video will be your worst video. Your first interview will be your worst interview. But bravo, I don't think anyone would know that. And here's another little tip. Actually, if I can give you an assignment and all of your listeners, watch the documentary with Betty White. That inspired me. I watched it maybe a year or two ago and I was like, oh, wow. She had a daily TV show where she was live. Like, this is before Facebook Live. It was 6 hours. They were live and it was every day for like 4 to 6 hours. And like, think of how much we see Betty White as the icon of comedy, and she's so funny, and like her sitcoms and her delivery, but she didn't become that overnight. She became that over practice and practice and practice. I'm sure there were some flops, every day. How can you be funny nonstop? But she perfected her craft the more she did it. But I think a lot of people want to be that before they even get started. And you have to start before you're Betty White. So the more you do these, Joanne, the easier they'll get, the more they'll flow. And as you notice, it's like, this is not that hard. It's just a conversation. And when you think of it that way, when you think of an interview as a conversation, it's like, oh, this isn't that hard. The only thing that becomes hard is when the voices come in that tell you something different. And that's when you go, nope, I'm going to hear Coach Deb's voice, and it's just a conversation. It's not that hard. Oh, my bar instructor, I love her. She's so difficult. Like, we have ballerina pros that are in there. They're like, oh my gosh, it's the most difficult thing ever. I'm like, I know, right? I think it's just me. And she's like, bend, stretch, bend, stretch, bend, stretch. And you're doing this for so many reps. You're like, your muscles are like this. They're just shaking. And then we all like literally collectively groan at the end. We're like, oh, we're finally done. She's like, it's not that hard. We're like, yes, it is, Olga. It is that hard. But this conversation, it's really not that hard. It's not bend, stretch, bend, stretch, bend, stretch.
I love your accent. That's wonderful.
That took a while, but after listening to it over and over and over, and she'll literally, like, during COVID, right, where everyone was like, oh, afraid to touch people, she would just get in and she'd be like, stretch, 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 and she'd make sure she'd touch your muscle and make sure you were like, you were tightening it. And I was like, okay, yeah, you can't cheat in her class. Kind of like the social video club.
Here's a thought I just had in my mind when you said that. Alicia, like you say, what are you doing it this way? Do it this way. She's got that. She's good, and she's right. You got to do it.
Yes, when we wrote that book, she literally would be like, what are you doing that for? I was like, oh, I don't know, because I was raised to make life difficult for myself. I wasn't raised to make life easy, right? But that's a mindset. It's a mindset. We have programming from very, very, very early age that we have to constantly destroy and recreate new neural pathways. It's the only way to describe this. That's why sometimes we'll just go back and revert to our old patterns of making life difficult for ourselves, right? Like, I mean, things were difficult then, but it's like, okay, we can make it easier, but we've got to make it as a conscious choice, or someone's got to say it. Like, Alicia, bench stretch. Stop making your life hard. Hire an outsourced team. I'm like, okay. And then I'm always grateful. Yeah. But bravo, Joanne.
Absolutely. Thank you very, very much.